Hello everybody and welcome to another video. In today's video, I wanted to discuss about an upcoming event hosted by Roblox that has been in the center of a lot of controversy. This event is of course none other than the Hatch. I'm interested in talking about this event because it's perhaps one of the quickest events on the platform that I've seen to garner such a negative reception without even being released yet. As of recording this video, we aren't even officially aware of all the details. The page for the event is still just a timer counting down to the beginning. Another reason I'm interested in this event is that it was meant to be returned to an event type that was a staple during my time on the platform, or at least most of my time on the platform. The event type being egg hunts. For those who joined within the past couple of years, you probably never experienced an egg hunt and therefore may not exactly know what they were, so to brief those people, before 2019, these were events that occurred within a specially designed and created map. Throughout the map, there would be a variety of eggs that users had to find and collect. Once found, you could wear these eggs as accessories, and for people who couldn't or didn't want to spend Robux on accessories, these were a good compromise for variety. For those wondering why I said before 2019, that's because in the last two egg hunts, the 2019 and 2020 egg hunts, the eggs were scattered throughout a variety of different experiences. These experiences were created by external developers who chose to participate in the event, and every experience would have one unique egg that would only be attainable within that experience. Then strangely, despite egg hunts having become such a strong tradition on the platform, after 2020 they mysteriously disappeared. Well, they didn't in fact disappear immediately. In 2021, they were replaced with the short-lived Metaverse Champions. But after this, not only was there not any newer egg hunts, but all events mysteriously stopped happening altogether. It was as if Roblox had become disillusioned to the idea of holding events, except for when it came to corporations wanting to hold sponsor events. They of course showed interest in those events, but for everything else, they just didn't happen. I'm pretty sure we never got an explanation for why these events stopped, and I've even speculated why egg hunts stopped in another video, but for all that matters, no official egg hunts happened at all in 2021, 2022, 2023, or 2024, and the same could be said about the years as well when it came to events as a whole. Little events happened in 2021, no events happened in 2022, and no events happened in 2023, with events only being revived in 2024. So, when Roblox initially announced that egg hunts would be returning after all these years, it was definitely a surprise. My thoughts immediately after the announcement were a little mixed. It was definitely nice to see Roblox attempting to do an egg hunt again. As I said earlier, they had become a tradition during my time on the platform. But as much as I liked seeing this tradition return, I knew it wouldn't be what some people were imagining, an egg hunt on similar levels to the 2018 egg hunt. The previous two egg hunts had followed this multi-experience style, so had the Metaverse Champions and all of the events since the revival in 2024, except arguably the haunt, but that event sucked in ways that won't be described here, but if you played it, you probably already know them. So when hearing the news of there being a new egg hunt, I was prepared for it to be about the same quality as the 2019 and 2020 egg hunt, potentially a little worse due to how prices had worked within recent events compared to how they worked within the aforementioned egg hunts. But this surprise and mixed feeling quickly turned to concern. After we learned about the event's existence through an official announcement, a developer who appears to be a participant in it contacted someone who leaks and shares info on Roblox events. The developer shared an internal document that presumably was given to all developers that outlines Roblox's vision for how the hatch would go and how developers should align their implementation of the event with that vision in mind. So in other words, it was a roadmap. Unfortunately, this document is where the first of what would become a growing list of concerns came from. First and foremost on the list of concerns is that Roblox wanted this event to be huge, like really huge. I'm not talking about something like a big cash prize like what happened within the Hunt Mega Edition. I'm instead talking about the amount of experiences participating in the event. For comparison, the Hunt First Edition had 100 experiences participating. The Hatch, on the other hand, was aiming for 1,000. The reasons why I and others are concerned about this is that 1,000 is a lot. One of the biggest complaints about the Hunt First Edition was that 100 experiences felt like a chore, especially since the grand prize required completing most of them. I myself said this during my review of the Hunt First Edition, which Here's the clip. When reaching 95 badges. Compared to how many accessories are available, it ultimately creates a situation where you feel like you're required to do so much in return for so little. If Roblox had made So for Roblox to not only exceed that number, but to do so by such a massive margin was a little worrying. What didn't help with this was the event's planned timeframe. We already knew from teasers and their countdown that the event would begin on June 2nd, but we learned from this document was that it was supposed to end just 10 days later on June 12th. We don't know how many prizes will be made available through this event, but if it's anywhere near the amount of experiences participating, that would be a chore to complete within the available time frame. Just way too little time. If Roblox had gave us maybe 2 weeks or maybe even the entire month of July, then I feel like it would have been much more reasonable. Then, also within the document, there's a double-edged sword with how users would obtain these eggs. One of the biggest problems within recent events was the lack of quality control within the experiences. Some of the quests were amazing, and I played plenty of them. Others were boring, difficult, or just straight up bad. For example, in some cases, there was a clear advantage for players who had been grinding the game for a while than for players who were joining for the first time to try to complete the quest. Pet Simulator. This is something that I in fact also mentioned during my review of the Hunt First Edition, so just like before, run the clip. Firstly, the quests to obtain these badges are not consistent in quality. Some of the quests in the hunt ended up being uninteresting, boring, and overall time wasters. To provide a few examples, there were some experiences that implemented the event in a really good way. Unfortunately, some doesn't mean all, and these are just an example of a few experiences that missed the mark. Because of this consistent inconsistency for the quality of quests within experiences participating, one of the things I wanted to see Roblox do was set a clearer set of directions for how developers should implement the event. So when this document revealed that Roblox was requiring developers to make eggs found through exploration rather than completing quests, it sounded nice. But that nice feeling quickly faded when we saw how Roblox explicitly wanted players to find these eggs through that exploration, near the lobby or spawn point within 2 to 3 minutes. This was very disappointing. For myself, I play events for the process of getting all the prizes, not the prizes themselves, though I do care if the prizes actually look good or not. But anyways, to see that everything had been boiled down to this extremely basic, almost cookie-cutter state, it only pushed down my anticipation even more. If all quests start to blur together, then it's honestly no better than the quests being inconsistent in quality, but even then, at least with inconsistent quality throughout all of the quests, there'd be a separation of good, bad, and boring. This just sounds like it would make everything a blur of boring. What I wish Roblox would have done instead when it comes to restrictions is the following. Firstly, whilst I disagree that users should be able to find and complete quests within mere minutes of joining your experience, players should not feel required to complete an immense amount of alternative quests before they can feel confident to start or finish an event quest. Secondly, pass owners shouldn't have advantages to completing quests, nor should people with immense progression in the game. On average, barring comfort for the game's mechanics, everyone should be able to complete the event within the same amount of time and not have completion time depending on how deep their pockets are or how long they've been playing the game before the event occurred. For the final constraint that I wish Roblox did instead, quests should not require immense teamwork to complete, exemptions for 2-player experiences. So for example, completion of a quest shouldn't involve big teams competing against each other for which the losing team fails to complete the event upon failure. These quests, from my own experience, are really annoying because you can easily lose not because you lack capability of doing what the game is asking you to do, but your teammates are the ones that don't understand what to do. But anyways, for the last concern within this document and something that might concern developers, support for developers was far more limited than before. In particular, there would be no one-on-one assistance. If developers had any questions, concerns, or inquiries, they had to be submitted through a form. The reason why I'm worried about this is that it may push developers to take a safer route when implementing their quests. If developers don't believe they can get in-depth answers to their concerns, they may not try something as ambitious, especially with all these constraints that I mentioned earlier. Unless we're missing similar documents from past events, no other events have had restrictions like this. So to introduce these constraints and remove direct support is a little worrying. But now that we've covered the document, let's talk about other problems that have happened with this event because yes, look down at the timestamp, the issues don't stop here. There's many issues that I could talk about that are not a part of this document, but for the first of only 2 problems I'll be talking about is the alleged use of artificial intelligence. Some users are alleging that Roblox is using AI for promotion material and even possibly the egg designs. From my own assessment for the assets that have been alleged to be AI generated, I do think there is some substance. And to push even more substance to the idea, Roblox is definitely no stranger to artificial intelligence. For the developers watching, you already know there is some AI features in Studio like the AI texture generator and Roblox's own coding assistant. And for anyone who has watched the most recent Roblox developer conference, you'll see that they are very ambitious with AI and want to do a lot with it. So I've initially heard these accusations that Roblox may be using artificial intelligence for promotion material and egg designs, especially with how ambitious they're wanting this event to be. It wasn't too surprising. Of course though, my lack of surprise does not match a lack of disappointment because I in fact have an abundance of the latter. Finally though, for the second issue unrelated to the contents of the document that I'm going to be talking about, we are getting into what might be one of the most shocking things that happened during this event or maybe any Roblox event. As I mentioned earlier, 1,000 experiences are participating. With this information, an important question arises. How were these experiences chosen? Whilst we never know for sure, I can only assume that Roblox heavily relied on automated systems. I say that because I can't imagine any other way that Roblox would have created such an ambitious list. But I also can't imagine any other way they would have created this list that would have allowed for such an embarrassing, shocking, disgusting, and downright unthinkably bad incident to occur. And I would consider myself someone who restrains from exaggerating. So if those are the words that are being uttered from my mouth, you should be prepared to want to say those exact same words. To set the groundwork for how this incident was discovered, there's an experience maintained by the event team that anyone can enter. However, there's a system in place that kicks users who aren't participating as developers in the event. So, in other words, if you don't develop a game as a part of the hatch, you will be removed from the experience. So, consequently, if a user isn't kicked, we can assume that they are involved in the event. Now, with that groundwork set, what did people find? Well, users on social media like Green Lego Cats noticed that the official Teddy appeared to be in the server list for around 5 minutes. Now if they had been kicked from the experience, they probably wouldn't have stayed for that long. As such, this suggested that the developer was in fact participating in the event. For those hearing this name for the first time, you may be wondering, who the hell is the official Teddy and why do so many people have a problem with him being in the event? Well, for those who do follow Roblox drama or community incidents, you may know this person, but if you don't, to keep it brief, this individual created experiences that encourage, facilitated, or outright promoted adult or inappropriate behavior. Crucially, these experiences weren't age-gated as 17+, meaning underage users could and likely did access them. Or in other words, there's a very real chance minors were exposed to or even encouraged to engage in these activities. And if this wasn't already obvious, this was all happening within Roblox. I am absolutely disgusted, I am furious, and I'm heartbroken that we reached this point. Roblox's negligence in protecting children from predators has always been appalling. Their half-assed moderation, the refusal to act on mounted evidence, and our cowardly silence as predators lurk under the radar. But this isn't just negligence anymore. This is complicity. Actively welcoming a developer who built playgrounds for grooming, handing them a megaphone in an official event, it's so vile it defies comprehension. This isn't just crossing a line, this is burning a line, pissing on its ashes, and inviting the worst people imaginable to dance on its grave. If you told me this was some dystopian parody, I'd believe you. But no, this is real. Roblox looked directly into the abyss of child exploitation and said, how can we profit from this? The only joke here is that we ever trusted the platform to do better. And the punchline, our children are paying the price. After a private announcement in the same Discord server that Teddy had infiltrated in an agonizing delay that almost felt willfully stalling, Roblox finally coughed up a public statement. They claimed that they removed the developer and promised extra checks to ensure that future experiences would comply with their terms of service, as if that was some grand solution. Let's be crystal clear, the fact that this circus had to unfold at all is a damning testament to Roblox's staggering incompetence. Their systems are so broken that a developer literally notorious for endangering children waltzed into an official event unchecked. And the real kicker, Teddy isn't even banned from the platform. Not permanently, not temporarily, just quietly swept from this one event while their toxic legacy remains fully intact. For some good news, I know it feels impossible with how horrible things have become. In another private announcement to developers, they said that they would allow for more freedom in where the eggs would be found. For a refresher, they were requiring developers to make eggs available within 2 to 3 minutes from where the player entered the experience, either from where the player spawned or within their lobby if they had one. Also, something else that people have noticed within the announcement, apart from the indication that the event would still be occurring within previously expected times, was that players would be able to collect eggs from all experiences. But whilst we know this, we don't know if all the collections will be unique collections, but I suppose that is something to wait for within future announcements, private or public. Now, to wrap up this video with my final thoughts, I'll just say this. I don't believe Roblox is capable from learning from these mistakes. We're in this exact situation precisely because they refused to over these past months. If they actually listened to our feedback and tried to fulfill that feedback, we'd be enjoying the best event in Roblox history right now. And ultimately, I wouldn't be too surprised if Roblox decides that this is a justification to stop events once more. But I want to know, what are your thoughts on this situation? Tell me in the comments below. With that out of the way, I hope you enjoyed this video. I don't publish too much, but if you do want to keep up to date with when and if I do publish another video, press the subscribe and notification bell to be notified of that video.